All right, welcome to the Inception Closer. My name is Shane, and I'm the host today. And I have a special guest today, the legend himself, JAYDANIEL Castro. How's
What's
it going?
up? Oh man, I'm good, dude. I'm good. How are you?
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I thought I would just start peppering you with some questions about your journey. I started following your channel about 6 months or so ago, and I created my YouTube channel. Basically started when I purchased a course. I believe it was called the Accelerator Program out of the Sales Mentor. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to create a YouTube channel around this, do a bit of a review. And it's been quite the journey. So I thought I would just start by saying, just asking, what are you up to right now? And how are things going?
Things are good, man. I guess for context, yeah, I hopped in the same program last year in April, and yeah, I hopped in last year in April. I've been involved with the online space since like 2016, so like digital marketing, social media, and stuff. And it's been quite the journey, and I guess I had somewhat of a traumatic event happen, like a divorce and amongst a couple other things, and that kind of right after that, I came across the course and I made my channel about it. And long story short, I was working at Sales Mentor. I left, and now I've basically for the last 3 months I've been in this transition of working for a sales agency. Sales agencies are basically companies where you have one guy who's closing, and instead of just him closing, he'll have 100 closers under him where he'll get the best clients and he'll fill them up with calls from each client and kind of split the commissions. So I've been kind of training under them, learning NEPQ, studying a lot of these guys who are basically where I want to be, and just honing my craft every day. That's what I've been up to these last couple months.
Nice, nice. Now, can you mention who the company is?
Yeah, it's Sales Sniper, Matt Ryder and James.
Yeah, awesome. I've been following Matt as well, as you know. Um, I love Matt. I think he's amazing. If I could be 1/1000th as good as he is, that's just unbelievable.
That's the goal right there.
Yeah, yeah, and I just like how and maybe this is something we can talk about a little bit, but how conversational his style is. And I'm on the internship right now as well. I'm about
Mhm.
almost halfway through, and Jeremy Miner is just amazing as well. And this isn't an episode just to toot their horns and that kind of stuff, but I just like their style. I really gravitate towards that style. I kind of came out of the combative style where, lots of pauses, lots of, hammering on people and just getting their mindset all right and all this kind of stuff without letting them convince themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the NEPQ flow and structure is very conversational. And a lot of the times when you get at it, it's kind of like being an actor. Like people are in it, but they forget they're in it. Even like salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've been starting to use a lot of it with contractors. I'm on an account called Profit for Contractors, and literally it just opens people up. Like you have the executive of this big company who it's like just pure. It's construction. It's like they're so hardened by everything. But as soon as you start asking a couple questions, neutral language, use their language, kind of with them, they just open right up, and that's the whole idea of any PQ. Getting people to open up, keeping the conversation on track, and even interrupting. It's very interesting that you can
Wait,
interrupt
wait,
people.
wait, wait. Hold on. What do you mean by interrupting?
Like exactly, exactly. There's this big belief with a lot, and everybody who comes in NEPQ, they have this belief. Hey, if I interrupt somebody, it's rude. But if you interrupt somebody in context to what they're saying, he's listening to me so well, he's actually keeping me on track for the conversation, and it establishes you as a trusted authority, which is the whole goal in sales, right? You want to be the trusted authority so you can actually lead them, because a lot of the number one thing that people struggle with on a call is just decision making, and that's what salespeople are for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
very, very powerful.
I did a role play, I think it was about a week ago with Matt Ryder. And in my mind, before we got started, I was like, I'm going to object the hell out of this guy. I'm going to make it so rough on him that he's not even going to know what's happening. And as we got into it, I felt like I was having a conversation with a friend. And I thought after a while, if I object, I'm objecting to what I'm saying. And it becomes incongruent with who I am or where I want to go. And I'm like, I can't object. And other people are typing in the messaging, man, I'd object and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you don't understand. When you're in front of Matt and he is so smooth and he's asking you questions like a friend, a buddy, it's very hard to object.
There's no sales pressure. The whole there's no pressure. It's what are you gonna object on? You know.
Exactly. And that's the part, that's where I want to get to. Like I've been in sales door to door, knocking on doors, telling people, or walking in and people are like, hey, you get the hell out of here and all this kind of stuff, slamming the door in your face.
Mm-hmm.
I've sold life insurance. I've sold coffee, even though coffee's for closers. I actually worked for a coffee company for a couple of years, which is funny and ironic. And I've been through all that where you get some of the sales training and it's just basically just beat them down until they have nothing left to say and then get the sale. And don't come back until you get the sale.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I think a big part of it too is like people themselves are changing. You know, I think humans are evolving, and I think technology is playing a big part in that. But just people them like back then, like you have all the information. You know, I was reading Socratic Selling, good book by the way. You guys should check it out. But I was reading Socratic Selling, and also the Socratic Selling and what Jeremy Minor teaches are almost identical. So it's a really good way to get into any PQ if anybody's looking to do that. But in the book, they talk a lot about like with classic sales, the salesperson would talk so much because there was this kind of customers didn't have the knowledge, didn't have the information. You know, a salesperson was almost how you got educated. And then the guys who already knew stuff, they didn't want to deal with another salesperson. So they would just listen and buy anyway. That's not going to work now. People have options. People are smarter. People are educated. Like it's just, you need to view the customer almost like a lion. You know, they have the power. They like and respect that and lead that. You know, based on kind of how things actually work. So that's a very interesting dynamic.
It is. And I know Matt made a video just a few days ago talking about trying to stay away from being salesy. And we all know when someone calls us on the phone, after a while you get into that vortex where you're going, yes, yep, yes, 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 yes. And inside you're waiting for a second so you can say no and tell them to piss off.
Yep.
So the flip side of it is to be conversational and have it where you're not saying things that feel like you're salesy, slimy kind of, well, tell me, how did you feel about that? Or why don't you like this program? Or you're just, tell me how much too expensive is this program? And like, that's very sales-y.
It's so interesting because I've been at the Sales Sniper. Once you're inside, they have a process where they take you from like you're on messages to you're on the phone, like setting appointments to you're taking appointments, triages, until you're taking appointments and you're taking sales calls like low ticket, till you're taking like low ticket and then some high ticket, and then you're kind of at that top peak, right? With I've been doing a lot of calls lately, and I would this is appointment setting. So I've noticed as I'm calling these guys, you can set the appointment by just saying, okay, so we can just do this. Let's blah blah blah, and then they'll say yes to get you off the phone. Yes. Versus if on you can do that and it works, but guess what? Your no show rate is really high, and the people aren't tied down emotionally. if somebody says something, I had a guy, he told me, I was like, did you get to implement it? Is that kind of why you wanted to have this so that you could like maybe have more structure and organization? And he was like, oh, that's never going to happen. And I was just like, what do you mean? I just don't see that ever. And I literally, it was like, you never see that happening. What do you mean? And that's when he opened up. He told me like the real, what was really going on. And it was like, okay, so if you think it's appropriate, we could do this. We could set this up. If you think it's cool, would that call help? And the guy was like, yes. And I can guarantee he's going to show up. Right. And in that moment, I was like, oh, that's NEPQ. And that's how you can almost guarantee people show up and they're committed and there's no pressure. They actually, if I didn't say like, do you think, he would be like, can we set up a call? And that's, I want to, what I've been kind of training for is to be able to do that on calls consistently and close like 80, 90, 100%, and there's just so much to learn. I've been learning a lot since kind of coming into this atmosphere, this environment, and I'm sure you have too, just being in the internship.
Yeah, 100%. And it feels like to avoid that ghosting is to have a little bit of push pull. You're pushing them away, and then it's like, like this isn't for everybody. And it's like, it's almost like you get it to a point where it's like, if you absolutely want to do this, then let's book an appointment. Almost like it's their suggestion. Yes, I want to do this. I want to see what else you guys have, versus, okay, yeah, like you said, just book it. And then they don't show up, or they don't even remember booking the call, which is the worst.
Yep. Yeah, it's you gotta get people committed to their reasons. Like Jeremy Miner says it pretty well. Like all the information you need to sell somebody, like they have it, and like what they say is gospel, what you say is like gibberish. So if you just get them to get more clear on their words, get more clear on their thoughts, and then tie what would actually get them what they want to something like an appointment or buying a product, like you don't have to put pressure. Like they're cooking on the inside, so
yeah,
100%.
One thing I noticed, just to go in a little bit of a sidetrack a bit, with your YouTube channel, I watched it from the beginning, and I noticed a bit of an evolution on your channel where it feels like, not to say you're phony before, but it feels like now you're just cutting right to the meat, and you're like, take it or leave it. If you don't like it, screw off, go somewhere else, or whatever it is. But I'm only giving you the honest truth. And it feels like it's not a darker tone. I'm not sure it's just basically raw. And I like that. I don't know if you've noticed that as well with your channel, that it's the beginning, it's a little bit zero to hero kind of journey. And then now it's like, here's what it takes. Here's what it is.
Yeah. I think on one side it was like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is like a dream I have. And on the other side is like, hey, I'm in the fucking trenches. I've been getting beat up for the last 6 months, 8 months. And I know I'm gonna get there, and I'm patient, but it's a process, and it's hard to explain. It's like your mentality about the gym before you ever work out versus when you're like, you just finish deadlifting like 400 pounds,
Yeah.
And I think in some of those videos, sometimes I'll post a video in my car. I'll have just left the gym and I'm like kind of like on that gym high. So I'll be screaming at the camera. But yeah, man, it's a process.
It's funny because like I used to go to jujitsu quite a bit. And I remember the first few classes or whatever, I'm like, I'm going to break this guy's arm. He gives me that arm. I'm going to break it. I'm going to break it. And then he would move his arm. I'm like, crap, he took all my moves. I got nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a few months of training every day and seeing different scenarios and getting my blue belt, all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know, I'll just see what this guy brings to the table. And if he shifts his hips a little bit over here, if an elbow goes up here, I'll do this and that. But you're not really thinking about any one technique or any one move. It's just flowing.
The ego's gone now. It's just a process.
Yeah. And that's how I'm starting to see the whole sales, the whole closing, even though closings
Yep.
have a little bit of a negative connotation. But if you're having a conversation with the person and you're helping them get what they want, and it's them, it's their idea, that's kind of where I came up with the whole Inception closer idea, is planting thoughts in their head. But once they birth it in their own mind, they run with it as though it was their idea. You just have a product at the end or a service to sell them at the end of it, but they're happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. The people that I've been listening to like a call, like 1 or 2 calls a day, like every day for the last couple months, and I'm in close connection with a lot of like the closers here, and they'll literally like the same person who spent 30 minutes objecting, no, it's too much, I can't do it. They're like, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that you stuck it out with me and you fought for me. And
Interesting.
yeah, it's crazy how often that actually happens too.
Mm-hmm.
It's 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 weird. Sometimes people, until they've gone through the ceiling, they don't know what they don't know what their goals really feel like. And then the second they go through, it's that almost becomes their reality. It's like, oh, this is what I'm becoming.
Mm-hmm.
Not because they paid the 30K, but because they committed. They committed.
Yep.
And when you commit, your goal becomes all you see. And when something is all you can see and all you can think about, it tends to, happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool stuff.
So there, it's almost like, and you've probably heard this before, where you're standing in the gap to help the other person onto the other
Yeah.
side. And I don't know if there's a better way to
Yeah.
phrase it, but if they have so many doubts, and Matt talks about the gap, creating that gap where they're on one side and they're like, I can't do this. I can't. It's too big. It's too large. I can't do it. And then on the other side is, why the hell am I on this call? I don't need you. I can do this myself. Well, why did you book the call then?
Yep.
But if you can keep them in the middle, that pocket, and then stand in that gap to get them to the other side, like you said, all of a sudden they're now thanking you.
100%. It's I've been through Eli Wilde. I was in his coaching for 6 months or 8 months or something, and one thing he would always say was like sensory acuity, and it's something, it's very similar to NPQ and what Jeremy teaches, but like you want to be very aware of the other of what the other person is saying without you want to be very aware of what they're saying, but what they're saying means, because me saying that I'm afraid can mean 100 different things. So being aware of like their voice goes up a little bit. They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like understanding what's behind that and knowing how to guide them kind of through that process. Like, that very clear process to, okay, if this person's really down, I'm going to bring them up. If they're really up, I'm going to bring them down. And almost, yeah, like almost, there's this funny analogy I used to hear. It was like, in sales, you want your process to be like IKEA, not Walmart. It's a set path. Even though it feels
Yep.
novel and different and cool, it's a
Yep.
set path.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good analogy. It's very, in some ways, like going back to jujitsu. I remember sparring with a guy that used to beat the shit out of me, literally, like all the time. And he was like a black belt or something, and he just beat the tar out of me. And it got to a point where when I tap, he would determine whether or not it was a good tap, like a really heartfelt tap. Because if I just went like this, it was like, no, that wasn't a real tap. And then he'd sink in the chokehold a little bit more, where my eyes are bulging and all this kind of stuff. And then it's like, there's a real tap right there. Like you're almost on the verge of passing out or death. But I found afterwards, when you're sparring with people, you can push people a little bit further than before, because you went to the brink. Now you know where
Yep.
that line is, so you can back off the line. You don't go to that line every single match, because nobody would want to fight with you or wrestle with you or spar with you anymore, because you're always trying to break their arm. But once you've been there personally, now you know where you're trying to take them. And I think the same thing applies in sales as well. Is if you get a bunch of rejections and you're in the trenches for a while after you've been to the bottom, or maybe you invested thousands of dollars into a program, it's okay for you to ask someone the same thing because you've been through the trenches.
Exactly. Yeah, it's this whole thing of like, I can't give you a dollar if I don't have it. You know, I can't tell you to do something if I haven't done it myself. I can't challenge you to raise to this standard if I'm not there myself, you know?
Yep.
It's like the little boy telling the man, "Hey, man up,"
Yep.
even though I've never paid any bills or done
Yeah.
anything. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So, on another side note, and forgive me if I go all over the place, but said some interesting things. You mentioned that you listen to either phone calls or role plays every single day. How
Yeah,
important is that?
it's everything. Like you wanna listen to success, you wanna study success, you wanna emulate it, you wanna add it to your process. What I've been doing so what I've been doing is I wake up at like 5:30. I'll have a call at 6 with like a group of friends, and we'll kind of do like training until 7. But after that, I'll go for a run, and I'll literally just listen to a different sales call. I have like a bunch on my phone, just a bunch of them just downloaded, and I just listen to a different one. And while I'm running, I'll just think like, okay, he's in situation. Okay, problem awareness. Okay, he asked the consequence question early. Why did he do that? Well, and then if I don't know, I'll actually ask them like, dude, why did you do that? And the whole concept is like understanding and immersion, you know, so I can achieve a level of mastery where I don't just get a closing spot. I keep it, because if you're not at 50%, if you're not closing at least 50% of your calls, you're not going to stay a closer for very long.
Yeah,
So
interesting. And
yeah,
that's so good. It's almost like you're immersing yourself into, I don't know, I guess almost like you're in a tournament every single day. You're watching other people's matches and all kinds of stuff, how they train, all this. And that, I don't think that could hurt you at all. Like it just dilutes right into you.
exactly, dude. I mean, it's I want to be making multiple six figures and doing all my stuff like in the next 6 months, you know, in the next year. I want to grow. It's if I want it to take 5 years, yeah, I'll take it easy, and I won't do these things. But if I want to make it happen, and if I want to even more than that, right? Because those are just like money, like those are like 1% of motivation. Even more than that, like the feeling of the level of mastery and flow where you know exactly what's going to happen and you're in control and you can change somebody's life like this, like that's what I want. I want that level of mastery, you know, and almost the confidence that comes with that. And the beauty of sales is when you master sales. This is why I got into sales in the first place. When you master sales, you can succeed in anything in life, literally anything. Like it's actually ridiculous. Business, all the majority of CEOs, there's two things that they have in common. Like billion, like two things. It's like
Yep.
military history and sales. They started in sales, you
Yep.
know, and it's a no brainer. So say
Yep.
like, you know, that's what excites me. Being
Yeah,
that person.
I believe that like with the material that we have so far, if you can't succeed in one arena, you can jump into another arena and have success. Like I made a video. I made 3 phone calls just for fun. I was bored one afternoon. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to record myself cold calling. So I called 3 people. One was a jujitsu club, and I was asking if I can help them out, help them get more leads and all this kind of stuff. So it ends up that I'll probably be going to the club with my son. They're right here in town, and they know someone that I know, which is actually fantastic as well. And I've made videos for their jujitsu club and all this kind of stuff. And then the second guy I called, he called me back the next week, and it was the worst voicemail that I ever left. And he called me back the next week, and he's like, yeah, I might be looking to have someone help me get some leads and all this. And I'm like, I was just in my head, I'm like, I was just playing around just to practice some stuff, right? And the third one was just, I left a voice message and I didn't follow up with them because again, it was just practice. But 3 out of 3 calls, I got 2 responses, and that was just winging it. That wasn't even with the script or anything. I was just having fun. Imagine having a little bit of oomph behind it, and practicing your script and using all the skills that we're learning and just going out there and tearing it up.
Yeah, dude, it's so impactful, you know, and it's funny because I like what you said about it almost being like a game, just having fun. Um, that's actually like I like to have fun. That's a lot of my personality. I like to enjoy myself, and that's when I perform at the highest level. Um, when I was first starting off here, and I would do role plays with some of the guys, they would tell me like, dude, like have fun, flow, and that's like the number one. You know that's when you get the most results, when you're having fun, when you're really in there. You know, when it's less about like I gotta get paid. It's more like I'm here, I'm present, I'm enjoying this. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think people can feel that on you. If you're desperate to meet your quota at 50% or whatever, and you're just looking at the numbers every day, I think the person on the other phone can hear that.
Yep. Every time, dude. It's obvious, especially now. People are very aware. Like people have just become what's that thing called? The alarm, I guess, in people's head, like the spidey sense. Like it's
Yeah.
just it's up there.
Yeah.
You know.
There's a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink. You ever read it?
Uh,
It's a great book.
I have it. I haven't read it. I'm gonna have to though.
Yeah.
Well,
Basically, in like a second, they determined that this statue was fake. This one
hmm,
person. And he was like, I don't know, just something inside me says that this statue is fake in like 1 nanosecond. And the people at the museum were like, you're out to lunch. We bought this from this person who has papers and all this kind of stuff, and it's legit. It's in France or somewhere.
yeah.
And turns out a little while later that that company went under, and they found out that they had forged statues, all kinds of stuff. And the one that they had in this famous museum was a fake as well.
Wow.
And the guy had it, like he just looked at it, he said, I don't know, something's kicking me in the gut right now. I don't know what it is. It doesn't feel real. And I think you get that on a phone call in a nanosecond. Hi, it's just Shane. Um, you got a couple of seconds for me? No, click.
Gone. Yeah, you just gotta be yourself, you know, and if yourself isn't doing the trick, maybe you gotta reflect and see what you're doing when other people aren't watching. You know, are you sleeping in? Are you eating like terrible food? Are you mad all the time? Because that's what's gonna show up on the call.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's interesting. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on underneath the hood before you even get onto that phone call.
Yeah, it's I mean, you can't fake who you are. You know, you just can't. You know, like you're gonna show up and you're gonna be yourself, and anything that you try to cloud over it just makes it weird, and it doesn't let people like trust you. You know, it's like transparency.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, it has to be clear. If it's foggy, that means there's something off, and then people aren't gonna want to listen to you or trust you.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's true. Like when I was in the beginning of starting my YouTube channel, I thought, okay, maybe in less than 21 days, I'm going to be making 20, 30K every single month. Less than
I
21
didn't
days, right?
know.
And then when that didn't happen, I was mad, but not so much mad at the courses that I took. It was more, I think I was beating myself up because I was like, I really wanted an aggressive goal of getting to that so fast within 21 days without understanding the process behind the scenes, what goes on, all this kind of stuff. And that led me down a journey of creating this YouTube channel. And there's ups. If you go back and you watch all my videos, there's ups and downs. There's me getting ghosted, with my client actually giving me someone to follow up with. And when I called them, they're like, I don't know who the hell you are. I don't know who the hell this company is that you're with. All this, stop harassing me. And I had just called him because the client that I worked for said, here's a great lead for you. this guy's been a little bit standoffish kind of thing, but they didn't tell me why. Here you go. Here's the number. He's expecting your call in 2 hours. No, nothing, no background. So I call him up and he's like, I hate you guys. Stop bugging me. That was my first one, right? And I'm like, oh
Oh
my
man.
God, what did I
Yeah.
get myself into, right? And then
Yep.
I had a conference call with the client, and he had 360 slide decks, and he wanted me to read every one of them. And the presentation was an hour and 40 minutes long. And he said,
Oh.
do not deviate from this. I don't want to see any of your other scripts or anything. Read this. Slide 1, read this. Slide 2, read this. Slide 3, read this. By an hour and 40 minutes, I'm exhausted. Like, I've drank probably 4 liters of water, and I don't
Mhm.
understand what the program is about.
Yeah, that's
So,
that's ridiculous.
yeah,
I,
so that was kind of my experience after the 21 day. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
this is a little bit harder than I thought it was.
Yeah, I think uh, yeah, this whole idea that you can get rich overnight, that's being perpetuated by so many people, it's nonsense. I think yeah, I mean, I think you gotta start and you gotta figure out what works for you. And there's so many business owners that have no business being business owners. They don't understand what it takes. They don't understand human communication. I think that's why Matt has built something so great, because he understands how to communicate at a level where he can just take a salesperson and say, hey, like, you got to fix this, and this. But he'll give them the freedom to do their thing. I think that's the big thing. If you don't have the freedom to implement different things and improve your own process, and somebody's like being a communist over your head,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, you're
Yeah.
not gonna improve and you're not gonna like it at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
you know
No, it's true. And that's part of the, if you're not used to any different sales style and you jump into a combative style, you're not going to be aware of what you're actually doing to people, pushing people around and all this kind of stuff. And then at the end of it, they're going to have buyer's remorse. They're going to have all kinds of stuff because you pushed them into something because you're so damn good at selling. You pushed them into somewhere where they weren't ready, versus on the other side of it, it's like, do you really think this program can help you get from A to B? It's a different
that's so
world.
powerful, dude. I've seen programs where, like, on the inside, like, everybody who's getting in is basically getting pushed in, and like the refund rates, like, there's I don't know if I can say the exact client, but like, I know a program that like, what they do is you it's a $20,000+ program. You pay for the first 3 months.
You
If you
mean
like
Dan?
it,
You mean Dan Locke?
no.
No, no, you
No,
don't. You don't have to say.
no, this one is a really good program, though.
Yeah,
And the point is, like, you pay for the first 3 months, and if it's good, if it's amazing, if you're getting results, you can choose. You can say, yeah, let me pay for the next 12 months.
right.
But it's so good, everybody stays in. Other programs, it's a payment plan, right? Let's say it's $10,000 payment plan. You pay like 3 or 4 grand a month, whatever. And it's like, after the first month, everybody cancels because it's just not effective. It's not, everybody gets pushed in and it just doesn't align. And I think that it's so important to have an offer that works, and to get people in from a place of, like, commitment to their goals and who they're becoming, versus like, you got to do it now, go, 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 buy. It's not just the immediate payoff, but it's the ripple effect.
Hmm.
When you get somebody committed to who they become, they start to impact a bunch of people around them. When you force them into something, they start to hate and be
Yeah,
skeptical and be
yeah,
scared, and spread that to the people around them. So
yeah.
it's almost this ripple effect of
And
being this guy versus that guy.
and
Mhm.
that's kind of who I was becoming. I was starting to get a little bit bitter because I was like, this is harder than it was. And I just wish they would have said that. But at the same time, I'm a big boy. I should know better. I should know it's harder than what it looks and all this kind of stuff. You're not going to get rich overnight. but you start getting negative. So some of my videos were starting to get a little bit negative, right? I'll sue. Wasn't quite that bad, but, and I'm like, no, I'm going to delete these videos because that's not the universe that I want to create. I don't want to be CoffeeZilla. I'll let CoffeeZilla be CoffeeZilla, but I didn't want to create my YouTube channel around the negativity of, because you're going to find that in any industry. I promise you, you will find it in any industry. Sports,
Mhm.
you name the industry, you're going to find it. Somebody that you don't like, or somebody says something and they do something else, whatever it is. And I'm like, I don't want my channel to be like that. I want it to be real. I want to share my journey. I want it to be heartfelt, all this kind of stuff, but I don't want to be pissing on people and being bitter towards someone else. Didn't want to do that.
100%. And that's huge because it's so easy to. It's so easy to say like fuck these guys, like screw everybody, like I'm pissed,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And I do like CoffeeZilla. So if I ever have you on this on my podcast, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. I'd love to hear your thoughts, all that. But I can't be CoffeeZilla all the time. Negative, and this guy's scamming people and whatever it is. That's just, it's not me. I don't like that.
yeah, I think everybody has their niche. You know, and I me too. Like I try to make sure that like I'm not I'm not diving into a rabbit hole that's not something I want to be in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It, it's tough, dude, because it is. There's a bunch of crap. There's also a bunch of good, and it's so much of what like so much of I guess coming out the other side and helping people and growing yourself is really growing from every experience. You know?
100%. Yeah. Like if I didn't take the accelerator program and pretty much every other program that they had to offer, I wouldn't have had an ear towards the sales sniper. It wouldn't have showed up on my radar at all because I wouldn't have known what I don't know and all that kind of stuff.
That dude, that it's funny because it's funny because that's how I joined the sales sniper. I was working at Sales Mentor and I was interviewing people. I interviewed you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I was interviewing people.
Yeah.
And I interviewed three different snipers and they all told me like they had like you know kind of negative experiences and one of them happened to be like have a little more authority in the company
Yeah.
and he was like, oh yeah dude, we'll bring you on. I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, but it's you know the truth always comes to light, and I think yeah. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah, I think like if you're getting into the negative reviews and all that stuff, if like you touched on it a little bit, not that I believe, in the secret and all this kind of stuff. I do think there is some elements to it, but let's just say, for example, you create a crappy product and people are buying it and then they're like, this sucks, and they get a refund. And those people are going to tell someone else. They'll probably tell 100 of their friends that this sucks. They might even create a YouTube channel and say this sucks. How much money is that company losing just because they didn't treat a customer fair? And it's spreading into the universe like gangrene everywhere. And you can't get that stuff back. You can't roll it back and say, hey, I'm going to formally apologize. I'm sorry. The course sucked, but we revamped it and we made it look really sexy. It's not going to work. It's too late. So why not just start at the beginning and just be honest and open and transparent and all that kind of stuff and just put good things into the universe?
dude, it's I don't know if you follow Gary V.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I love this guy.
Yeah.
He was talking about he talks about that like he spends a lot of his time doing the things that are others would consider ineffective, but they add to the legacy, and I think that's what legacy is. Like think about the legacy these guys are creating. They're creating a legacy that's like their impact is what it is, you know. And my I guess my whole thing is like I look at it, I observe it, and I say that's not what I want my legacy to be. I don't want that to be what I put out, you know. And I can't. It's easy to judge. It's easy, you know, and I can't do much about what they're doing, but I can learn from it and make sure that that's not tolerated within my circle.
Yep.
You know, that's been my whole
It,
mindset
it,
about it.
it's interesting you mentioned Gary Vaynerchuck. It's the first time I came across Gary V was because I was following Grant Cardone.
Yep.
And I follow all the social media guys, just so you know. Like a lot of times I'm trying to catch Matt Ryder, like with Sales Sniper. I'm trying to catch him with my subscriber count. Like he's over 1,000. I'm at 2 something. I'm trying to catch him, right? So I follow all these social media influencers trying to learn stuff. And I was following Grant. And then this guy shows up at one of his sales meetings. And one of the guys is like, yeah, I just got off the phone with this guy and he told me to F off and all this. And everybody cheers on the team. Good job. And Gary's standing there against the wall going, I don't know. I don't think I would have done it that way. I don't think that's a win. I don't think you guys should be excited right now for that. I think we need to be able to emphasize. And I'm like, who in the hell is this guy? And I started searching him up and found out he came from some kind of a wine cellar program and he's teaching wine for his ma and pa business and all this stuff. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to follow this guy. And that's one of the reasons why I created this YouTube channel was he had a video on document, don't create.
Yep. Me too.
I'm an editor by trade, if you will. I have lots of editing projects on the go for years and they come and go and all this kind of stuff. But when I'm making my YouTube channel, they're not flashy because I'm exhausted from video editing for other people. And I'm like, if I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm going to spend an hour and a half to create one video, I can't always do that. I'll lose my train of thought. So I'm like, I'm just going to record how I feel in this moment. If people don't like it too damn bad, I'm documenting my journey because I want to come back a year, 2 years, 5 years from now and see what my mindset was at the very beginning.
Exactly. Dude, that was my biggest thing making the videos, man. I was like, I wanna first I was just confident. I was like, hey, I'm gonna transform, I'm gonna grow. Like I was at such a low. It was like I know exactly who I'm gonna be and who I wanna be, and I see this being a way I could do that. So I'm gonna document the journey. And even if I don't get any subscribers, literally, I was like,
Yep.
If I don't get any subscribers, if I don't get any viewers, I don't care because I'm going to be able to show, like, I'm going to be making, you know, some 6 figures and traveling the world. And I can actually just put, somebody's like, how'd you do it? I'm like, just look at my videos, just look at the videos.
Exactly.
And I was actually kind of shocked. I was kind of shocked because like one day I opened up my phone and it's like, oh, you have 1,000 subs. You want to get monetized? I was like, well, really? And then like, you know, it's like at 3,000 and
yeah, your channel is incredible for that. I've watched your growth and I'm trying to catch you as well.
Oh, dude, you'll get there. I think you have very good content. And one thing about it though, one thing with the content and with the videos is like, actually let's touch on that in a second because I'm kind of spacing out. I'll let you go and finish on your point.
Yeah, I think I'm finished. I've just talked about Gary Vaynerchuck basically documenting your journey is more important than trying to create flashy videos with all kinds of sound effects and whatever. It's like, dude, just because nobody believes Gary Vaynerchuk now, where they see this guy that's trying to buy which team is it, the Jets or something?
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, it's so easy for Gary Vaynerchuk. It's so simple. And he gets mad at that because he's like, dude, you don't know what it was like. I was rejected by everybody when I was making my videos and all kinds of stuff and calling people. Nobody wanted to talk to me. Now it's different. Now everybody wants to talk to me. So he's like, if I could do it again, I would have documented my journey from the beginning. It's so powerful.
It's huge, dude. It's huge. It's like and it's really not like, it doesn't take that long. Like I've been going to the gym consistently for about 3 months now. And like just I guess from a physique standpoint, energy standpoint, like total difference, like totally different, you know. And that like 2 years on that process, like you know, like me and the person I'm working out with, like it's obvious we're going to be totally different. But the same thing applies to sales. It applies to everything. And this is what I was going to get at earlier. Like when you make content, even if you're not there already, right? Like the fact that you're on the journey, for every one of you that are actually on the journey where you don't know if you're going to succeed or not, there's like 100 who haven't started yet, who are overthinking, who are scared, who are making excuses, who will watch your journey and vicariously live through you until one day something happens and they just decide to make a change. So
Yeah.
documenting the journey is so beneficial because like it's, I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. If I want to be a professional basketball player,
Yeah.
and somebody is documenting their journey to be a pro basketball player, I'm going to watch their videos every single day.
Yeah,
You know?
100% you will. And you, especially if you have a handful of followers, in my case, maybe 5 or 6, and I don't know, could be a sibling, one of my siblings, who knows.
Yeah, right.
Those people watch everything you do, right? And they kind of become a bit of a raving fan, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I remember there are sometimes, some days where I'd be like, man, I got to make my videos better and I got to start making some flashy intros and all with After Effects and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, nope, that is procrastination. And that is me causing a stumbling block. So I pull out my phone, I hit record, and I'm, hey, you bastards, here's what we're going to talk about today. And I have no idea what I'm going to say. I just hit record because that got rid of that block.
Yep.
It's weird.
Dude, I don't think I've ever looked at one of my videos before I posted it.
Yeah.
I've never watched my video ever.
Yeah, it's funny, right?
I can't. If like I will be like, yeah, I'm not posting that.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, I've probably, especially at the beginning, I'd record 5 or 6 times, and then finally I'm like, I just gotta put one up because they're not
Yep.
getting any better. They're going south real quick, so I better post something.
Yep. No, dude, it's crazy. Like I think on my first video is like 52 seconds. And it's just like me, like half of the video is me complaining that I recorded a longer video.
Oh yeah, I saw
And
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you just
And
finished recording 10 minutes of nothing and you forgot your camera was off.
but oh well, guys, I'm gonna document my journey from 0 to 10 grand a month. And like it's so bad. But that video, like just off YouTube revenue, I probably made like $200 off that video. Just
Nice.
off revenue on it. Yeah. It's so funny because like all the views and like it's you just gotta post. You post and then you see what people like, and then you can choose if you want to implement a strategy behind it. But the beauty is you don't need a strategy. You just post. That's it.
The videos that I'm getting the most views on right now are my reviews as an inbound closer, reviewing courses, all that kind of stuff, because there seems to be a huge interest during this pandemic that people are like, hey, I would like to make $30,000 in less than 21 days. I would like to do that. And I'm like, dude, it's not going to be like that for you. I'm sorry. I got to wake you up a little bit. I got to give you a bit of a pee-pee slap. It's not like that. It's not that easy. Is it possible for down the road to make that much? Yes. But right now you got to get into the trenches and stuff like, and I think that's what I'm trying to portray is how hard it is. And it's not hard for everybody, but for me, it's hard because I also have a full-time job. I worked 4 hours this morning. I got up at 4, took off to finish my job because I didn't get finished yesterday. I started at 4 in the morning and I was done at 7 o'clock at night. And I'm like, man, I could literally work to midnight before I'm done. So I called it quits, came home, had some burgers, watched a little bit of Sales Sniper, and then went to bed, got up at 4, took off, finished my stuff so that I can be here. And then my wife and I will probably go for a little bike ride when we're done here. So, and then I got a video project for the church that is hard right now because it's a different part of your brain. I'm working on a testimony with some lady that had basically kidney failure and all this kind of stuff, and she's getting a kidney transplant. And there's legalities about what she can say and what she can't say. So imagine working my full-time job and then having to take that part of my brain out, and then now I got to edit and come up with a story and show it to like 600-700 people. And it's like, plus you're learning about inbound closing.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm,
Plus
I'm,
I'm doing a YouTube channel. Plus,
I'm
like,
curious. Hey Shane, a question. So, and I think this is a big learning moment for anybody who's watching. Like,
mhm.
because a lot of people they'll say like, yeah, I want to do this. Oh, but I work from 9 to 5. Oh, I have a family. Oh, I have this. Like, I guess what's your driver? Like, what kind of drives you to not just settle for the job or not just do this, but also like, be pushing it and making it happen. I guess what's driving you? I'm curious.
Well, you may have noticed I'm not a young man anymore. I'm, how do you say,
Young at
past the
heart.
prime, past the prime, young at heart. But I've been that guy on the sideline where it's like, man, I don't want, I've had so many chances and opportunities where I'm like, I need to think about it. Let me think about it. I talk a little bit about real estate and different things where I bought a couple of homes, but there was one house, it was a duplex I had a chance to buy to assume the mortgage from a friend. And they said, this is the greatest opportunity for you. It's the same, you're going to have the same mortgage as your rent. And I had so much doubt and unbelief in my mind that I turned them down. And that house back then was worth $70,000 a duplex. It's now worth over $300,000. And
Hmm.
they were willing to let me assume the mortgage. And I turned them down because of doubt. I was scared to take on a mortgage I didn't know anything about. I was more comfortable renting, and that drove me crazy. And really, this house here that I have, we bought this house just over almost 3 years ago. This is my first house that I bought. That's how much stuff that I went through buying properties that went under, banks calling me every single day, 6 days a week saying, do you have $400,000? Do you have 400? How about 80 grand? How about this? And I'm like, how about zero? I have zero. I can't even go to McDonald's with a debit card. That's how bad it was. So I had to restructure, get everything back. Now I have like over a dozen credit cards. We were able to buy a home, buy my wife a car, all this kind of stuff. But it took that. I got to make a decision quicker. I got to make it quicker. I can't delay. So that's a little bit of the driving mechanism behind what I do. I'm like, okay, I can do my full-time job, which is delivering potato chips. I sell potato chips every single day. And the job doesn't end until I finish the job. So I don't get paid an hourly wage. I got to service 22 accounts. I have 22 account managers that I answer to and all this stuff. And with the pandemic, heaven forbid anybody runs out of chips. Heaven forbid. And it's gone like this. So I'm like, well, I can't sustain this level forever. I need to learn another skill in case something happens where the warehouse shuts down, they close all the stores. They won't close grocery stores, but you know what I mean? I got to do something else just in case. And that's what kind of led me down the journey of sales mentor, sales sniper, all this kind of stuff. And it's an amazing journey, if that makes sense.
It does. Oh man, I think you'll be so good on if you when you get on an account, I think you'll be so good on Sales Sniper. Um it's crazy because it's crazy how like sometimes the world is almost pushing us in the direction of what we want, but we turn it down. And then we have to almost go through this like this bottom, like this rock bottom to see like, oh no, I want more. I deserve more. I choose to have more. And whatever it takes, I'll get there.
Yeah, it's true. Rock bottom is true. If you haven't hit rock bottom, nobody can tell you to do something unless you've hit rock bottom. And then all of a sudden you're now a sponge. It's weird.
Yep. Yep. It's almost like an identity. It's almost like, okay, I'm vegan. Bam. Meat doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even tempt you because this is who you are. It's almost like when you commit, you have to literally make that person your identity, even if you're not there yet. If you're fat, like you have to commit, to getting in shape. The all the fat, the food, the old habits, they don't exist anymore. And I think that's that point of committing is what's important. Tony Robbins calls it like burning your boats. The Latin root, like decision, means to cut away, like to actually cut away anything else.
Yeah. Like I think it was Cortez that was attributed with saying basically scuttle the ships or whatever, because his men were like, we don't want to fight any wars anymore. We want to just go home to our wives. So they basically cut all their life supports, all the rafts, whatever it is, and they crashed onto the land. And it's like, well, there's your freedom. You got to get through all those people because they're coming to attack you. If you don't attack them, there's no freedom. So off they went off the ship, right? Because they were going to die. So it's almost like we have to get to that point. Not we have to die, but it gets to that point where your back gets put against the wall. And I think my mindset was I'll pay and I'll do whatever it takes to get out of this predicament, if you will, and try and learn a new skill, heaven forbid.
Sometimes the only way to get to your goal is to be willing to die for it.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
Yeah. Interesting.
Man.
Deep thoughts.
This is good.
Cool. Cool. Well, thanks. Maybe I'll just chat with you briefly. I'll just hit stop here, but thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to check out Jay Daniel's channel, it is growing by leaps and bounds, and he's got some good stuff on there. Thanks a lot, Jay.
I appreciate you, Shane. This is awesome.
Thank you.
To be here and happy to see you growing, man.
Yeah, for sure.